Hi and welcome to Digital Diggings, the channel where I dig through the junk in my garage looking for hopefully interesting items produced by Digital Equipment Corporation. Where possible, I'll try to show you working examples, do the occasional teardown and poke around in open VMS. Digital is mostly known for being a mini computer company, and the way to access a mini computer is through a terminal. Digital produced many terminals over the years, starting with the VT50 and 52 and then the VT100, which was an iconic terminal that is pretty much the industry standard for emulation these days. This one is the VT220, which is an enhanced slimline version of their terminal. This one dates from about 1984, I believe. While this one looks like a normal VT220, this is actually the VT220-Z, which is an Australian model, made in Australia. The main difference with this one is that it's got 4 pages of memory, so that you can scroll back 4 pages of the text. The normal VT200 series, once the text scrolls off the screen, that's it, it's lost. This particular unit is the one that I used personally in the 80s and 90s, so it's still going strong. The keyboard on this one is the word processing keyboard for a product called Whoops Plus, which was part of the all-in-one suite. This one has the gold key, which is up here, and labels for the word processing application in gold underneath the keys. Another thing to note on this one is the inverse T cursor keys, and this was the first keyboard to have that format, and it's now an industry standard. Okay, let's have a closer look. The screen itself is just a 12-inch non-reflective screen, and just power on LED on the front. Turning it around on the side now. We have a contrast adjustment here, the brightness adjustment here, and this is an adjustment for the angle of the monitor. There's a foot that comes out of the bottom. So if you tilt it up and pull that, the foot comes out and the monitor will tilt up. You can tilt it back down again. Looking at the back now, we have the power switch, of course. This is the voltage selector for 100, 110 to 220, 240. This is the power input, of course. Fuse. This is the keyboard input, so the keyboard cable plugs into there. This is a RS-232 port for a printer. This is what they call a 20 milliamp loop connector for old-fashioned teletype machines. And this is your standard RS-232 input that you normally use. And this is a composite video output. Never seen it used, I'm not quite sure what happens with that one. This isn't a button, this is just a cover for a screw. This is something you don't see much these days, made in Australia. Looks like it's an April 85 machine and Rev A, so it's quite a low serial number, 469. Okay, let's turn it on. Go through a self-test routine, and then it should display an OK message on the screen, which is coming up now. The way you adjust these screens is you turn the brightness up until you see the raster, and then you back it off until it disappears, and then you adjust the contrast until you get something that looks good. Get the setup key here, we can have a look at the menus. Display menu, you can set 80 columns or 132. That's how to interpret all the escape codes. You can change it to reverse text, jump scroll and smooth scroll. I'll show you later, but that sort of gives a very smooth scrolling action. Auto wraps whether the characters wrap. Cursor, you can change to have cursor or no cursor, and whether you want block or underscore. The general menu just shows you some of the settings for what sort of mode it emulates. You can put it into emulate some of the older terminals. Communications is where you set your speed, so default's usually 9600, it can go up to 19200, as low as 75. and then you can set all your appropriate RS-232 settings. Local echo is whether you want it to echo on the screen or not as you type. Usually the remote hosts will do the echo for you. That sets the port, which is the RS-232 port, but that can be changed to that 20 milliamp port on the back. Printer will just set up all the printer settings. The keyboard, self-explanatory really. I've got key click on at the moment. I can turn that off or turn it back on again. And you can set up tabs for how the tab key operates. So that's pretty much it for the setting. Oh, plus there's other stuff here for you know, taking the terminal online, offline, clearing the display, resetting the comms line, resetting the whole terminal, and then you've got save settings, so you can save all your settings and recall the settings later on. Set up for the language, what sort of keyboard you've got, and that's it. I've fired up a VMS system now. I thought I'd just show you the terminal in action. So you can do your various commands. This will show a bit of some of the line drawing that the system can do. I can set terminal width to 132. So fit more on the screen. Of course, 80 is much easier to read. With the 220Z you can do 4 pages of scroll back, which you can't do on a normal VT220, and you do that using the arrow keys and the shift. So if you do shift and down, it will scroll back to where you've been, a line at a time, or you can use the left and the right arrows to do the 4 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another thing I'll show you is the smooth scroll. This is the normal scrolling, as you would expect. Now if I go into setup and change it to smooth scroll, now it's in a smooth scrolling mode. It looks a little bit strange when you're not used to it. So I'll change it back. This is another VT220-Z that I have. It's suffered a harder life. It's a bit more yellowing in the plastic, and the focus and brightness aren't up to what they should be, so I thought as a bit of a bonus I'll take the cover off and try and adjust it a little bit. This is underneath. There's 3 screws that you have to take out to get it open. There's one there, and one at the back. You've got to remove those caps and then you can get the cover off. Now the top's about to come off. Now remember, don't touch anything inside a monitor, whether it's powered on or not, because there are high voltages inside and there's capacitors there that hold the charge for a long time. So this one lifts off pretty well straight away. The bottom part is the main display board, and on the side here is the circuitry for the actual terminal. This side is where the adjustments are made. This is the horizontal hold, This one is the centering for the picture, and this one is the focus. Okay, now that the terminal's back together, that's it for this episode. Hopefully you found it interesting. Thanks for watching, and cheers for now.